Well, hey everybody, this is Pastor Josh with another spiritual reflection video for Franconia Mennonite Church. This one a little bit different. I'm not in the office. I'm just here in the living room. Wanted to share some thoughts with you today. And I wanted to share some thoughts today related to the situation that we're in. And I've been reflecting on the names of my children. And they have been a helpful way for me to think about how to respond in the midst of this crisis. And so I just wanted to share that with you. So some of you know, we have 3 kids. Our oldest is Selah. Selah, come here, girl. All right, so there's Selah Ann. Say, you want to say hi? You're saying hi to our church family. Is there anybody from church that you want to say hi to? Everybody? All right, excellent. So that is Selah Ann. Very good. All right, Evie, come here. Our second is Evie Joy. Eve, come say hi. Can you say hi to everybody? No. You don't want to say hi. That's okay. Okay. And then our third, our youngest, is Paxton. And I'll show you Paxton over here. There's Paxton. Now, some of you at church, we haven't been together in a while, so Paxman has grown a little bit. So just wanted to show you Paxton. So there is Paxton Josiah. All right, perfect. All right, you girls can play. Thanks. All right, so.
Get the box.
Yep, I'll do that right after this, okay? You can go play. Okay, so why am I showing you my kids? Well, as I said, their names have been significant for us, and even during this time. So let me just kind of walk you through that real quick as a kind of devotional reflection. So our oldest, Selah. The name Selah actually comes from Scripture. It is in the Psalms. In many of the Psalms, you will see the word Selah kind of as a offset to the right there after many of the Psalms. So the word Selah means pause and consider. Some think it is a musical notation. The Psalms were like an ancient hymn book set to music. So some think that Selah means pause in a musical sense. Others, though, think that Selah means pause and consider, that the worship leader would read those words of the psalm, but when they got to the Selah, it was an opportunity to stop, to pause, to consider, to reflect on what had just been heard, to reflect on God's goodness that was just described in the previous verses. And so that idea of taking a moment to pause and consider, to pause and reflect on the goodness of God, that's something that I would commend to you today. In the midst of this situation, many of us are pausing our lives. It feels like our lives are on pause. But I would encourage you to spend time today considering the goodness of God. Are there ways that we can still be grateful, still be thankful for God's goodness and grace in our lives? So that's the first thing that I would suggest to you. Have your own Selah today, a time to pause and consider God's goodness. The second thing I would recommend comes from my second daughter's name, Eve. So the name Eve literally means living. And her middle name, Joy, the word joy comes actually from the same root word as we get the word grace, the word charis. So some scholars define joy as grace acknowledged. Anytime we acknowledge God's grace, that is a form of joy. So you put those two names together, you have Eve, living, joy, grace acknowledged. So Evie Joy is a living acknowledgement of God's grace. I think for many of us, we have that. We have those people in our lives who are living testaments, living acknowledgments of God's grace in our lives. I'm guessing you could probably think of a handful of those people even right now. People who have just been such influential spiritual influences in your life. People who have been living acknowledgments of God's grace for you. I would suggest today, or maybe sometime this week, that you reach out to them. Maybe pick 3 people who have been living acknowledgments of God's grace in your life. And during this time, you would intentionally reach out to them send them a text, send them a phone call, send them an email, pick up the phone and talk to them, but just reach out, express your gratitude and appreciation for the ways that they have demonstrated God's grace in your life. So that's the second thing I'd suggest to you on this Wednesday. And then the third thing is related to Paxton. Paxton, the word pax is Latin for peace. And so this idea... Hey girls, quiet for just one more minute, okay? Thanks. So this idea of peace, Paxton, peace. Peace is central to the heart of the gospel. Peace is just a core part of our faith. The promise that we can experience a divine inner peace, and the fact that we can experience peace with God through relationship with Jesus Christ. And so in this time of such uncertainty, in this time of heightened anxiety, I think that promise of peace is especially significant and powerful. And my challenge to you would be to think about, is there someone in your life, a friend, a neighbor, a coworker, a family member? Is there someone in your life who doesn't know, who hasn't experienced that peace, and that you could reach out today, or you could reach out sometime this week and just share about the own peace that you have experienced through your faith, and encourage them, invite them to explore more about who Jesus is and the peace that Jesus offers in our lives. So those are my three thoughts for this morning, rooted in the names of my kids. I'd challenge you today to have a Selah. Spend some time pausing, considering, thanking God for God's goodness and grace in your life. Reach out to three people who have been an Evie joy to you, a living acknowledgement of God's grace. And challenge yourself to look for opportunities to speak to people in your life about the pax, the peace, the divine inner peace, and the spiritual peace that we can have with God through Christ. All right. It's good to chat with you in this way. I know this was a different kind of spiritual reflection, but hopefully there was some value in it. Look forward to seeing you online this weekend again for church, and we're actually going to be speaking this Sunday on Palm Sunday about peace as well. So we're gonna pick up that theme this weekend. All right, we love you guys. Continue to think about you, pray for you, and look forward to talking with you soon.